Going to be talking about how to double your business in the next 30 days. The next 30 business days, I'm only going to be making videos Monday to Friday. I'm talking about this because I get this question all the time. All the time, people come with these expectations of doubling what their business is doing in a short amount of time. And maybe they don't say these words directly, but I had a prospect recently who said, I'm at 0% ROAS today. I want to be at 10x ROAS on every dollar I'm spending on ads. What's the timeline? And then I told them a realistic timeline for it. And they said, okay, why can't we do it? Why is it going to take more than 30 days? Why? And the answer is it's really hard to double your business or go from 0 to 10x in a short amount of time, right? But it's not impossible. And it's certainly not impossible to double your business and your revenue in 30 days or 90 days. But it takes a lot of work, and there's a lot of things that you as a business owner, that's primarily who I'm recording this for, is people who have a business of their own. They have ambitious goals for that business, ambitious aspirations for where they want to take things, and they're not quite sure what to do. The reality is there's a lot of gatekeeping of information. I get frustrated. A lot of things that we'll talk about in these next 30 days are topics that I wanted to learn more about. I tried. You go to the internet and there's roadblock. Oh, buy my course and then I'll give you all the answers. You buy the course and the course doesn't teach you how to do it. And so I'm aspiring to remove some of those roadblocks, and then we can be students on these topics together and dig deeper in it. So we'll go high level, especially at the start, we'll go a little higher level, and then we'll go more in the weeds on how to do some of this stuff. Who am I? If you don't know who I am, my name is Peter Deli. I am a marketing consultant. My start in marketing was as a media buyer, and so still very strong on that side. I've worked in a lot of companies that have gone through this type of rapid scale where we're doubling revenue in a short amount of time. I also have built up those teams, because one of the things we'll talk about today is as you scale, it looks differently, right? And so how do you have the teams to do that? I've worked with some big brands here in the United States. And currently I work with entrepreneurs who have those big goals, right? Like, I like a big challenge. I think it's really important, like having a big goal to work towards. So I like working with those folks with ambitious, dreams, but let's be realistic about it and let's do the work that we need to get there. I'm based here in Rio de Janeiro. So if you come down to enjoy our South American summer that starts today, let me know. Let's get a caipirinha or something, or let me know if you live down here in the area. And if you want to contact me, here's my contact information. You can look me up wherever you want to look me up. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the roadmap. How does the scale look? How to diagnose where you're at today, because what you need to focus on is going to look very differently depending on what stage your business is in. The first thing that you need to do is really take inventory of where you're at today. This is something I would like screenshot it and grab a cup of coffee and journal a little bit, write it out. I think you really have to think about like these questions. So how is your business doing? A lot of folks who I start working with have no idea how the business is doing. So figuring out how are things going, that's a really important part. A P&L, some metrics, right? We want to see numbers of what we're doing, how it's going. How are you doing, right? How are you doing in your role? Do you like it? Do you like your job? This is one of the things for me. After I started my own company, for the first couple of years, I hated my job. Like, I did my things, but I wasn't happy. And so if you're the founder, if you're leading your organization, make a company that you like working for. It's your company. If you don't like working there, no one else is going to like working Take inventory of what reporting you have today. Just take inventory of it. Maybe you have a larger organization and you have a bunch of things going on. Maybe you have reporting from social media and from paid ads and from, if you're e-com store, from Shopify. Just take inventory of these pieces of reporting that you have at your disposal. Another thing I would think about is like, what data do you have to play with? One of the things we'll talk about today, one of the things that I do first is, what are the numbers? Map them all out, right? And so think about it. Like, okay, if your e-com store, maybe you have GA4 deployed. Maybe you have Shopify data to pull from. Maybe you have some data from social media. Take inventory of all of them. I also would go in, once you've done that, try to identify what holes are there, right? If there's a piece of data that you might want to think about that you don't have a data source for, try to find a data source for it. What role do you play in the current performance of the organization? I encounter this an awful lot, and we'll talk a little bit about bottlenecks later today, but this is a big question. I think for me it's a big question, right? Like, if you have started your own organization, if you're leading an organization, you play a big role in the success of it. And think about it both ways, like good and bad. Like, what are your strengths? What are you bringing? What are the downsides to it? Think about the responsibility that the responsibility you have for the way things are going right now. And then think about, what assets do you have, including people, right? We'll talk a little bit about this today too, because people are part of the assets, right? Maybe you have some physical infrastructure. Maybe it's like a website or a storefront, or maybe you have hard assets. Maybe you have a service company, you have hard assets there. But a lot of times, like in my business, it's mostly people. When I think about assets, it's humans. And then think about where your revenue comes from. A big part of scaling your business, or at least scaling revenue, is knowing what's driving it, right? So if you don't know where your revenue is coming from, that's something that would be top of my mind, is figuring out where this revenue comes from, because you cannot drive it unless you know where it's coming from, right? This is true with ads. Even if your ads are doing great, right? Let's say you're spending on ads, you have 10x return on it. You can't just go double all your budgets on everything and expect that to hold. You have to know this campaign here, this segment here, this is what's driving the revenue, and then double down on those assets. This is a quote from Nelson Mandela. There's no passion to be found in playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you are capable of living. And I think that this is part of the problem that people face. If you're on YouTube looking, okay, how to double my business in 30 days, you maybe already have this big, aspirations. But you have to have a goal that's getting you out of the bed. You have to be excited to sit down at your desk at your computer every morning. And marginal improvement is not the type of goal that gets you out of bed in the morning. You have to have a big dream there. So to me, this is the important first place to start, right? I titled this series Double Your Business in 30 Days. Maybe that's not the goal that you have in your mind. Maybe you have a monthly recurring revenue target that you want to be at. Maybe you have other goals or other things that you want to be hitting. But set that goal and have it in mind, and set a time frame for it. Work towards it. Another quote that I have almost always in my journal, my to-do list, my notebook, I write this quote on the first page: what you get by achieving your goals is not nearly as important as who you become. Think about it. When you're setting these targets, we're not just trying to double your business to double your business, right? Revenue does not happen in a vacuum. Think about like your company making twice the revenue. What does that company look like? It doesn't look like the company that you're in today, right? So think about what goals you need to set to turn this organization into this organization that is doing twice the revenue. Then you got to figure out what stage you're in. Where are you at today? If you are under $1 million a year, you gotta keep looking for things that win, right? It's like a science experiment. And it kind of is the hardest part, right? Like if you have things working, if you have revenue from some places, you can optimize it. You can look at the data, you can say, okay, I'm doing less of this, more of this. When you are not to that point yet, everything is a science experiment, everything, right? A lot of times folks are afraid to do new things or try new things. And that is the wrong thing to do here. Try anything under the sun, test it as an experiment. If you have limited resources, prioritize the experiments that you want to do. But I would be testing. If you have an e-com store, that conversion rate of your website is your most valuable tool for increasing revenue, right? I would be testing constantly, testing different copy on your homepage, testing different options on your product pages, adding Apple Pay, testing on those product pages to get your conversion rate up. And we'll talk a lot about CRO later. Here it's about going fast and chasing things that have some traction. And then probably you as the founder are going to be driving all of it, right? When you are trying to break over 10 million in a year, this is where things kind of have a tendency to fall apart a little bit. Your quick wins stop compounding, and you got to switch from quick wins to systems, right? This is when just individual contributors, you can't just have a bunch of contributors doing their own thing. You got to have processes that tie everything together. That team and really the process of how this team works together, that is going to be the important piece here. And you can't rely on the heroic efforts that you relied on in the beginning. It's going to take more than that type of effort there. And then when you're trying to break over 100 million, this is where we have to get into some of these more complex issues, right? You already have a machine, you already have systems. So now you need to have systems of systems. You need to be optimizing the way that things go. At this stage, your team is a funnel that can be optimized. We'll talk about CRO, but the team, the way the team is working, is also a system that needs to be optimized. Where can you improve efficiencies? I've had it all the time working in organizations trying to go at this level where as a media buyer, you're kind of at the end of a conveyor belt, right? All the steps, and then it gets to the guy who runs the ads, you build the ads. And a lot of times these systems bring things to the media buyer that just don't make sense. Launch this campaign. Let's say you want to launch a campaign on Google search, but I don't have any assets for Google search. And maybe the funnel doesn't make sense on Google search at all, right? And so then what happens? I have to go back up the ladder, and there's a bunch of friction in that process. So here, having that system that works, the pipelines that work for each step in the funnel, with the end goal in mind, these are the things that we have to do to get past this hurdle. Okay, first thing, and we'll talk about this tomorrow also in more detail, but the first thing that I would do is I would build out a dashboard. I built out a couple of them here, but I would tailor this to your business and think about what data, like you already took inventory of the data sources that you have at your disposal. I would be basing it off of that. Why? Is because this is going to give us a lot of the path forward. So I have two examples. The first example is for an e-commerce store. I'm tracking ad spend. How much am I spending for those clicks? How much clicks am I getting from it? How many add to carts, which hopefully if you're an e-com store, you have GA4 set up, you can track these events there, or you have Shopify and you can track these events there. How many sales are you getting? How much revenue are you getting? And then I'm making a lot of calculations, right? Add to cart rate, conversion rate, cart conversion rate, AOV, ROAS, ROI, revenue per click. And then when I start working with the brand, I play with the numbers a little bit, right? So here is my baseline. What happens if we double spend? We're doubling spend, our add to cart rate's the same, our conversion rate's the same, our cart conversion rate's the same, AOV's the same, ROAS is the same. Okay. Let's say instead of doubling our spend, what if we drove some reduction here on our CPC? So here we cut our CPC a little bit. We're getting more clicks. We're getting more add to carts at the same rate. Our conversion rate's the same. All of the other metrics are the same. We just cut our costs and we're able to drive some improvement here on our ROI. Let's say we cut our CPC a little bit, and let's say we increase our add to cart rate. We're getting more people. Maybe we test something. I did this when I worked at Build.com. You're selling air conditioners. Air conditioners have a lot of technical SKUs on it. People can't find the right one. How do you navigate it so that people can, a layman can understand the product and get to the right one? Right? Customers should not have to be the expert to navigate your site. They don't know the technical SKUs they need. So maybe you have navigation like square footage, things like that. So here again, we're driving some improvement in ROAS pretty meaningfully from where we started out at. And then let's say you keep doing more here. Once you get them to your cart page, let's improve our cart conversion rate. Maybe you had Apple Pay as a payment option. Maybe you put your button in green or red and you put your button above the fold. All the time I work with brands where you have to scroll for days to find the button to add something to the cart. And so again, here we're climbing and driving more ROAS, more ROI. And then lastly, what if you had a higher ticket price, right? Maybe you offer an upsell on your order form, something to drive some additional revenue there. And now your AOV is coming up. All of this, by the way, is just day one revenue, right? And so really, to really get a grip on things, we need to start thinking about the customer acquisition cost, the lifetime value of these people. Ideally, if you're an e-com store, you have some recurring revenue that comes from that. I did the same thing here for a high ticket sales funnel. More or less, it's the same idea. You can see these little improvements compound pretty meaningful improvement. And I believe that you should evaluate each step of the marketing process by its job, right? Your ad does not sell. Your ad is getting people to click to your website, get more information, and get sold on a landing page, right? Your ad shouldn't have to do all the heavy lifting to sell. Sometimes it is because it's the quick win, but your ad should not be the one that's responsible for the sale. Your ad could be responsible, in part, the click-through rate of your ad could be responsible for what CPMs you're getting charged, what's the cost of those clicks that are coming through, how many clicks are you getting, that click-through rate to your website. Your site navigation can dictate how many people are getting to that add to cart. If you have a high ticket sales funnel, maybe it is your lead opt-in rate. Your opt-in page is responsible for getting that lead. And then you're moving people to book a call and you have another conversion rate on that page. I would not evaluate the ad in terms of how well it's doing at driving calls. I would evaluate that call page and evaluate each step in the process on it. And then when I sit down here, if you want to scale quickly, you need to look at these numbers every day. If you want to go slow, you're not that worried about how fast you get there, weekly numbers will be okay. And when you evaluate effectiveness, certainly don't look at one day's data. One bad day, one good day does not tell you anything. But I want to know each day, what did I do yesterday? How did it go? Right? Like, what was my sales yesterday? What I worked on yesterday, is that good? Is it bad? And then I would think of little experiments to do it each day. What experiment can I put on this page to get my CPL down, get my opt-in rate up, my CPL down? What experiment can I put on this page? What experiment can I do to get more people to attend that call? What experiment can I do to give my sales team more resources to drive more sales out of it? And little steps at each part of that. Let's come back over here. Okay, another thing that I would think about and think about incorporating into these KPI sheet is everything we just talked about is outcomes, right? Nothing that we just talked about is going to drive you revenue. These are all outcomes, things you look at the day after it happened. How did it go? What we want to start finding are things that predict it. What are the things that drive it? So I have on the slide deck, I have my list of resources. One of the books that I recommend reading is called Good to Great, and it's in the resource slide here. One of the main takeaways I got from that book is the shift from lag measures to lead measures, right? Revenue is just an outcome. It's not directly influenced by your efforts. What we want to think about is what drives the revenue. And then we want to track those things, right? If it's the number of outbound calls that your team's making every day, how many outbound calls are they making every day? Put it on your KPI sheet. And then the beauty is you take this whole spreadsheet, every day's data, go throw it into some AI tool and have it tell you what correlates. What activities correlate most closely with my revenue? It used to be that we had to run correlation reports and really, think about that. It used to be very difficult. Now it's very easy. Go throw it in ChatGPT or Cloud and see what they say. And then again, it's an experiment. I would do this, especially if you have a bigger team, on a 30 or 90-day time frame. I would, as a team, think about what are these lead measures, and then a team decide these are the ones that we're going to track, and then do it for 30 days and see if it correlates. Verify that it's actually working, because it is a little hard to know exactly what efforts will drive it. One of my case studies here or examples would be Shopify e-com store, mostly dependent on Meta and Google ads, sales under 10 million a year. So what levers could we pull? The number of SKUs. Maybe you have 3 SKUs, maybe you could have 6 SKUs. Maybe you double your revenue just by offering 3 new products or product variations. Maybe it's the number of promotions that you're doing. Maybe it's the pricing that you have on your page. Especially if you're competing with Amazon, I would check pricing quite often, right? Like if you're in a space where Amazon is a competitor and Amazon's advertising on the page, a lot of that's going to be price comparison. Number of tests that you're doing on your pages, the number of influencer partners that you have. Maybe it's a matter of ad channels, or different marketing channels, or payment options, or different retention campaigns, or the engagement rate in your emails, which itself is a lag measure, so it shouldn't be there. New creatives that you're launching in your ad account. Go through, this is for e-com brand, places that I would start in terms of what can I do to drive revenue, but reflect on it for your business a little bit. I mentioned this also, your team is a funnel to be optimized as well. The way that your team works with each other, it's a conversion funnel, right? It's a different type of conversion funnel. Your team is a conversion funnel to drive revenue for you. So where are the holes in the bucket or the holes in the funnel? Where is revenue dripping out? Where could you shore up the process to have a more efficient driver of revenue? Now, diagnose what the bottlenecks are, right? Where are the holes in the bucket? I will go for a walk or sit outside or something. Get away from your desk, get away from YouTube, go think a little bit. Maybe you journal a little bit. Think about what are these bottlenecks that are facing your business right now. There are some pretty common ones. The main thing, I see this all the time, is what I call the yo-yo effect. It's swinging back from these polar extremes. A really simple explanation of it would be ad spend. I've had clients who one Monday is like, push, 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 push. I don't care, just push. And then the next Monday is like, pull back, cut, cut, cut. Sometimes they can do the swing in the same day. And so I think that this is partially because of not knowing the numbers. I think it's partially because of not believing in a plan. But that is by far, like if you're trying to go far and you keep turning in circles over and over and over, you're not going to get anywhere. Another common bottleneck that I see is drinking from a fire hose. I worked with a founder last year who one of the things he told me is, I keep telling people I want certain things to be done and it never gets done. Why are these things that I'm asking never getting done? And then I joined their calls for a couple of weeks, and it's pretty clear there's a team of 3 people. Every week there's 10, not even 10, 100 different to-do list items put on the list. They don't have the team for it. Nothing is prioritized. Nothing's decided this is the most important one. These are the things we're going to get done. So instead of like actually crossing things off the list, there's just 100 new things put onto the list. I think for me, that's kind of the second one, right? It's lack of prioritization. You got to decide. Alex Hormozi has this quote about everything you say yes to is saying no to the thing you want the most. You guys say yes to the most important things. You have to decide these are the things, the gambles or the experiments that I want to bet on this week. Another pretty common one is a weak funnel or a leaky funnel. These are pretty easy to fix. Build out your dashboard, identify what's broken, and then test changes there. If you are really struggling to get sales, I would think about your offer. And if your offer is sellable. I've had some projects that are not sellable offerings. I would read, if you think this might be you, I would read $100 million offers from Alex Hormozi. Another bottleneck is no systems at all, or systems that don't work. So if you are trying to scale to 100 million, you don't have any systems at all, or your systems aren't serving their function, it's time to start optimizing at that step. Another bottleneck I see is the founder is doing everything, but the founder has no time. So everything goes to the founder, but then the founder doesn't even have time to jump on the phone. For sure, you're not going to scale at that point. And then another thing that I see often is people have one win and think that one win equals a business. I have worked with someone in the past who had Facebook. Facebook worked, nothing else worked. And they think it's a functioning business. It's not. If you just have one pony that you're trying to squeeze everything out of, there's going to be weeks where that campaign underperforms and you're not going to be able to withstand that. It's going to take your business down every time. I am going to try to go through all of these topics that if I had a client who was serious about scaling or doubling the business in 30 days, everything that we'd have to look at. So I'm going to put all of these videos out. The next one is going to be about marketing metrics and deeper on KPI dashboards. So that will be tomorrow. But we'll go through all of this stuff in future days. And then here are the resources. I've linked this slide deck in the description. Wherever you're watching this, you should see this resource there. If you want to find any of the books that I read or any of the books that inspire some of my thoughts on this, I have them listed, and then have some YouTube videos that I think are good there as well. Every day I'm going to try to give my resources so that if you want to study these topics too, you can go to the sources. People that I respect, I think it's good information. Okay. Thanks for watching today. I'll be back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow if you want to see marketing metrics, and then let me know. My contact information is on here. You